Okay, this video is going to cover composition tables and basically how I handle them. The first thing that you really need to know is that this box on the right is going to be basically your starting point. And when you see like this x of -2, this is like your input kind of thing. So I'll explain more about what I mean by that, but just realize the box on your right is your starting point. So basically what I mean by this is start over here and go row by row. So write it out. Writing things out here on these composition tables is going to be your friend. So my first row here, I have g of f of -2. And so when I input -2 into that, it outputs something that I don't know. That's this blank right here. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to find out. And the way I'm going to find out is I'm going to work my way from the inside out. So what I mean by this is I'm going to go find f of -2. So go to my f of table and find f of -2. And f of -2 is 4. So what I mean by this is, since this is 4, I can change f of -2 to just be 4. So now it's like me saying g of 4 equals what? So now I need to go to my g table, find g of 4. The output of g of 4 is 0. So since I know that, I can just go, okay, g of 4 is 0. And that is what I was searching for all along. So I put 0 right there. Let me do another example. Now that I've found this one, I'm going to go to the next row right here, and I'm going to write it out, even though it's already filled in for me. I'll show you why. I'm going to go, okay, g of f of -1 equals 1. Now, I'm still going to follow the same pattern. I'm going to start inside and work my way out. Go to f of -1. F of -1 is something. I don't know what. So I'm going to put a question mark there for now. I'm going to put a question mark there. So g of, all right, f of -1, we didn't know, so we replaced it with a question mark. That is this question mark right there. G of question mark gives me a value of 1. Well, go look at your G table. G of what input gives you an output of 1? That would be this input of 2. So now I can rewrite this as G of 2 equals 1. So that means my question mark is 2. So that's going to go right here. So I'm going to replace that with a 2. And guys, if you're already confused, it's really difficult to explain composition tables, so I apologize in advance. Okay, I'm still looking at this box over here, and I'm going row by row, whether it's filled in or not. So that means I'm here now, 0, 2. And I'm going to write it out. So I'm going to go g of 0, I'm going to go g of f of input 0, right here, equals output of 2. Okay, now same thing, start on the inside and work your way out. So go find f of 0. F of 0 is I don't know. So I'm going to put a question mark there. That's what I'm going to be solving for. So now I'm at g of I don't know, question mark, equals 2. Go look at your G table. G of what input gives you an output of 2? Well, that would be an input of 3. So that means my question mark here is 3. So I'm going to go fill that in right here. The key to doing these is go row by row and start on the right box. So I'm going to keep going. Now I'm at the fourth row here. So that's 1 blank. So I'm going to go G of F of input 1 outputs a blank. I don't know. So I'm going to put a question mark. So this right here, this question mark in this box, is what I'm going to be looking for. Same thing, start on the inside and work your way out. So f of 1, go find f of 1 outputs 5. So now I can say g of, we just said f of 1 had a value of 5. So g of 5 equals that question mark. Well, now go look at your g of 5. G of 5 is -1. So I know g of 5 equals -1. So that means my question mark is -1. So I'm going to go back to my table here and fill in my question mark. Okay, I have one more row to do for this table. I'm on the last one right here, 2, -2. So I would start out g of f of input 2 outputs -2. Start on the inside here, f of 2. Go find f of 2. It outputs 1. So now I can rewrite this as g of, we just said f of 2 has a value of 1. Probably should do that in orange to keep it color-coded. Equals -2. All right, so now it's still a statement, like I still don't know what I'm even looking for yet. Just keep going. Keep working your way outwards. G of 1 equals -2. So go to your G box. And you'll look and you'll notice G of 1, and then it's missing the output. Well, you know what the output is. It's -2. So that's how I would fill in that. And so when it's all said and done, it fills in the entire table. Now, I don't know why this disappeared, but I think that was a 0. Now, these next ones that I'm about to show you is when there's more than just 2 functions. Now there's going to be a lot of things that I'm going to have to fill in and kind of think about. So I'm still going to start with my far right box. And I'm still going to go row by row. So my first thing is B of A of C of input 8 equals outputs, look, it's blank here, so I don't know. I'm going to put a question mark. All right. Now I'm going to still work my way from the inside out. So C of 8 is the first thing I'm going to look for. C of input 8 outputs -10. So now I can just be like, okay, B of A of, we just said C of 8 had a value of -10 equals that question mark that I'm looking for. Okay, keep working your way outwards. So A of -10, go see if you have that one. A of -10 is -1. So I can replace that. I'm going to replace that A of -10 with a value of -1. That's going to equal my question mark. So now go find your B of -1. It has a value of 100. So now I can go B of -1 has a value of 100. So that means my question mark is equal to 100. So I'm going to go back to my main box here, and I'm going to put a 100, like that. Okay, I'm going to go to the second one. So that's the second row here, this guy. And I'm going to go B of A of C of input 14 outputs 88. Cool. Now I'm going to start on the inside, C of 14. I'm going to go see if I have it. I do not have it. So I'm going to put a question mark there. This is what I'm going to be solving for. So I'm going to rewrite this as B of A of C of 14 outputs question mark. We don't know. Now this is probably the worst case scenario that you'll fall into with composition tables, because if you think about it, I'm really like 2 steps away. So here's how I handled this scenario. I go and I say to myself, A of something outputs something. I know that sounds stupid, but just hear me out. I'm going to start rewriting this. A of something outputs, I don't know, a green box. A of something outputs a green box. Now I keep going. I know I'm kind of stuck, and I know it's not making that much sense to me, but I keep going. So I replaced A of question mark, A of something, to give a value of something. I don't know. But now I'm going to keep going. B of something, B of box, green box, has an output value of 88. So go find B of box giving you an output of 88. Well, hey, B of -8 equals 88. So now that I know that, I know my box has a value of -8. And now that I know that, I know I can take this right here, green, and I can go, okay, A of that question mark has to have a value of -8. Go find in your A where I output -8. That would be an input of 20. So now I know my question mark is 20. So that's why it kind of is helpful to mark where your question mark's gonna, every time you find it, because what's gonna happen is you're gonna get to the end of this and you'll be like, oh, I found out what I needed, 20. I don't remember where to put it. So that's why I mark in those boxes with a question mark for the time being. So this right here is 20. And again, that is by far the worst case scenario. When you have this many boxes and you do something on your first move, and then you end up 2 moves away right here. You kind of just have to keep going and mark it with a different symbol. I use a box. So let me kind of walk you through that again. Start out by writing it out. B of A of C of 14 is 88. Give C of 14 a value. Well, we don't know what value that is, so I put a question mark. Now you're going to do A of question mark. Well, what does that even mean? A of I don't know? Well, it's going to give you I don't know. So I use a different symbol, a box there. Then I keep going. B of box gives me 88. So go find what gave you that. So now I know my box value is -8. And then I kind of work my way back up. So A of question mark had to be the box. So I know A of question mark has to equal that -8. And then I go find my A of what gives me -8. A of 20 gave me -8. So now I know my question mark was 20. Again, that's worst case scenario. I'm going to keep moving on though. I'm on the third one now. So B of A of C of 21 gives you 7. Same thing. Start on the inside, C of 21. C of 21 is 30. So I'm going to replace it with a 30. So B of A of 30 equals 7. Keep going. A of 30. Go find A of 30. A of 30 is I don't know. So I'm going to mark it with a question mark. This is what I'll end up finding. So I go B of that question mark has to equal 7. So now I go look at my B box. Find what gives me an output of 7. Well, that's 7. So now I can just say, okay, B of 7 equals 7. So now I know my question mark is a value of 7. Okay, I'm now on the fourth one here. So same thing. B of A of C of 24 has an output of 1. Start on the inside again, C of 24. Go look and see if you have it. You do. C of 24 has a value of negative 15, so I can rewrite this. B of A of negative 15 equals 1. Keep going. See if you have A of negative 15. You do. It has an output value of 0. So now I have B of 0 equals 1. I still haven't even found what I'm looking for, but I'm going to go to my B table, and I'm going to find B of 0. And look, it has a blank there. That's where this 1 goes, like that. Okay, the next one, I'm now on this, 41 and 112, so B of A of C of 41 has an output of 112. Start on the inside, C of 41. C of 41 has a value of negative 1. So I can rewrite this, B of A of negative 1 equals 112. Now go find A of negative 1. A of negative 1 has a value of 12. So now I can rewrite this, B of 12 equals 112. Again, I still have not even found my blank where I'm going to put my answer, but I'm going to keep going. Go to my B box, B of 12 equals 112. So B box, B of 12 equals, that's where this 112 goes, like that. Okay, and then this last one, I'm on this last row here. B of A of C of 50 equals 36. Start with C of 50. C of 50 is 2. So now I go B of A of 2 equals 36. A of 2 is, I don't know. So I'm going to mark that with a question mark. This is where my answer is going to go. So now I know B of I don't know, so question mark, equals 36. Go to your B table. Find out what's outputting 36. That's negative 6. So I know B of negative 6 equals 36. So now I know my question mark is equal to negative 6. So I'm going to go change it in my table. So really, these aren't that bad when you can mark it with just one symbol, like a question mark. It's just this particular example over here when I was 2 steps away and I had to use 2 different symbols, a question mark and a green box for markers. And then I kind of had to work ahead and then work backwards. So the majority of them aren't that bad, but if you find yourself in a situation like what's circled in red here, use markers and keep going and trust the process and then work your way back up. So I hope this video helped.